In Richmond, eastbound 580 at Central Avenue, look out for a dog apparently running around in the lanes there. And in Castro Valley, westbound 580 before Castro Valley, look out for someone changing a tire in the center divide. Sleep Train's location in Pleasanton has moved and is now even bigger than before. The new store is at 6050 Johnson Drive next to Starbucks. Sleep Train is your ticket to a better night's sleep. Taking a look at KGO weather now for the San Francisco Bay Area for your evening. Clear but becoming partly cloudy with low temperatures expected to range from the lower to upper 50s. Right now in Richmond, 63, Walnut Creek 67, and in San Francisco, 61 and partly cloudy. I'm Kelly Denson, KGO Radio News.
Well, good evening, Radioland. For the next 3 hours, you're listening to the Open Line to the West Coast over the world's greatest news talk radio station, KGO, San Francisco, 810-810 on the AM dial everywhere up and down the Pacific coast of this North American continent. And this is the ABC flagship station to the entire West Coast. You can join in on the most listened to program and radio station by simply dialing the magic number into the switchboard, 8080810. And if you're outside the immediate Bay Area with one of those free long-distance cell phones that everyone has, dial one of the Bay Area codes, 415-510, 707-408, or 650, and then the magic number, 8080810. Where we go tonight, as usual, no one knows. That's why it's called the Open Line to the West Coast. What you have to say invariably is a lot more interesting than any monologue I can give you. But while the switchboard is filling up here, our producer Jay in San Francisco and Shane at the engineering board getting things prepared so I can see them on the computer screen where I am in my favorite place. Let me remind you of what we had last night. Last night I had a guest on this program, Dr. Vic Reese, one of the most recognized officials in the U.S. Department of Energy, nuclear technology expert, who pointed out there's no question we're going to build more nuclear plants. There's a question of time now and how much more you're going to lose, working families and working people of this nation, with excessive high energy prices, thanks to those who stopped everything in the use of nuclear energy and nuclear power plants 20, 30 years ago. While the rest of the world is racing ahead of us, he pointed out the French are using the best American design, so are others, the Japanese, the Chinese now. And in fact, the French have developed it so well that they're probably going to export it back to the United States when utilities and states in the United States want to build new nuclear plants here. Very telling, isn't it? Very telling. So typical. We have the saviors of the world, as they told you they were here for the last 40 years, making sure America could not use its own technology to produce energy that's pollution-free and very inexpensive. And I'm going to tell you some of the numbers now. And yet one of the things that popped right in the middle of that discussion, along comes a caller and says, oh, gee, isn't it so easy? We can just build solar power and it'll take care of all our problems and we don't have to have this dangerous nuclear technology. I got very irritated with the fool, as I usually do with fools, because he doesn't even know how to do arithmetic. The best scientists in the world will tell you there's no way we're ever going to use solar or wind power for more than a small percentage of the total energy needs that we have in this nation. They can be valuable at peak energy times. And wind power is getting very competitive, but no one in their right mind suggests that we can power our economy or your homes continuously with wind power. For the simple reason the wind doesn't blow but more than a few hours a day, and the sun doesn't shine more than a few hours a day at an intensity where you get decent output from solar panels. That isn't going to change. I don't care what technology comes along. No one's figured out a way we're going to make the sun shine longer than it does now, or the wind blow longer than it does now. But nevertheless, they're out there. So I'll take you through a few numbers at the top of this program, and then we'll get on to your calls. But how many of you are constantly exposed to these pathetic idiots, and you find them in your junior colleges and your universities everywhere. Oh, solar power is the answer for the world. Everyone's evil. Scientists are stupid. They're not doing the obvious. And what you're listening to are the usual mumbles of the ignorant. But, you know, at a point, just being plain ignorant becomes very destructive. If there's a real problem, if all of you were paying enormous amounts for energy, and you have people sitting on the sidelines stopping the process, which is the only solution, and the top environmental gurus of the world have thrown in the towel, they now know they caused Earth warming and put the CO2 in the atmosphere by forcing the world to burn coal and fossil fuels for our energy when they stopped all nuclear power plants. They're now running for cover, your Sierra Clubs and the rest. And they know we must use nuclear power. Look at the New York Times, the major scientific journals. And it has been vastly improved in terms of safety characteristics. But listen to the idiots on the sideline tell you, oh, all we have to have is solar power. These same fools couldn't run their laptop computers in the morning or at night or watch their favorite television games if all we had were solar power. Or was solar power. For the simple reason, what do you do when the sun's not shining? There's no way to store electrical energy in vast amounts. And again, they don't understand it. But let me give you some numbers. You know, here in California, your legislature and the governor have announced this program that we're going to have solar power on all new homes. Well, solar power is 10 times more expensive, at least, than investing in nuclear power plants that can serve everyone, or wind farms somewhere if that's what they want. But take a look at this. The average solar power plant on a home producing 1 kilowatt costs about $10,000. 1 kilowatt. Now, if you have 1 million homes, then you get 1,000 megawatts of power producing capacity. That's the equivalent to one large modern power plant. Diablo Canyon, for instance, 1,000 megawatts. So you have to put $10,000 worth of solar equipment on 1 million homes to get the power output equivalent of one Diablo Canyon. But that's only the power output equivalent when the sun shines for maybe 6 hours a day in the best areas. In some areas, it's only 3 or 4 hours. Peak times when you get decent output from solar panels. So when you do the numbers, the cost of $10,000 per home for 1 million homes is $10 billion. 4 to 5 times the cost of building a modern power, even nuclear power plant, or gas-fired plant, even more than that. But you only get power, remember, when the sun shines, not 24 hours a day, not 7 days a week, but if you're lucky, something like, hey, even take 8 hours. 6 is really the maximum average. 300 days of the year, you only get the power being produced 1/3 of the time that you get from a normal gas-fired or nuclear power plant. So it's really costing 5 times 3 equal 15 times more to get the same energy output, and you cannot rely on it to run your society. Would you like a society and economy where there's no business until at least 11 in the morning when the sun's intense enough to give you some solar power, and everyone has to quit at 4 in the evening? That's a little stupid, isn't it? But hey, listen to some of these gurus who will tell you how easy it is and how stupid the world is. We're not using we're not entirely solar power. California alone, in this last hot spell, needed 50,000 megawatts plus. That's 50 Diablo Canyon nuclear power plants equivalent, or enormous big gas-fired plants. 50 of these plants. If you tried to do that with solar, you're looking at 10 times the amount of money to build normal plants. It is outrageous and it's stupid to say that we can rely on solar for the mainstay energy requirements, and the state needs about another 1,000 megawatts each year of continuous power, not green intermittent power, The green intermittent power is great if you can afford it. It helps during peak demand times. I use it. I recommend it to others who've got the money to invest in it. But to force the average homeowner that is being beaten to death now with exorbitant energy costs and electricity and natural gas as well as gasoline, that's cruel, and it is stupid. And I'd like somebody to prove I'm wrong, because the numbers are very simple arithmetic. KGO time now, 10:16. Thousands of folks with older homes are making the very best investment they can. They're replacing the old single-pane, noisy, drafty windows with top-of-the-line, dual-pane windows and doors. And there's a famous website and company that supplies these called newpane.com, spelled N-E-W-P-A-N-E, like windowpane.com. And tens of thousands have used newpane.com. You can log on right now. And right on the tube, you can put in the dimensions of the windows in your home, or take the specs off of someone else's quote for sure. And you'll get a fully priced quotation for a full installation for every combination you look at, not a nickel more, and you'll never hear from them. You can sit there all month and look at 100 combinations if you want. But when you compare prices from newpane.com with what you'll be quoted by others, and keep in mind, New Pane supplies all the top-of-the-line manufactured windows just the same as others. When you compare their prices, you're going to be calling them. At newpane.com, we'll send an expert to do precise measurements for the windows for your home and schedule an installation generally within 28 days. And more than that, they'll give you customer references from Sonoma to San Diego, and you can call these people up or go see the job before you sign up with newpane.com. And, by the way, newpane.com supplies these windows by the thousands to contractors and developers on a volume basis and volume discounts. So they can give you the same or better guarantee. And what's more important, you ever have a problem with a window, it's going to get replaced. If you can't log on to newpane.com, you can call them. They have an office in the Woodland-Dixon area and a toll-free number, 800-614-7263. That's 800-614-7263 for newpane.com. And portions of this hour of the Open Line to the West Coast are brought to you by Kaiser Permanente. They stand for health. May you live long and thrive. Gus in San Francisco, you're on KGO, San Francisco. Hello, Gus, are you with us? Well, we must have lost Gus there. Jack in Santa Rosa, then, you're on KGO.
Yes, Dr. Bill, why can't we have a national emergency on energy?
Well, it is an emergency, and Congress is starting to move on what you'd call an emergency basis compared to the dragging their feet for 25 years. There are 2 bills in the House and the Senate now to open up coastal areas that will provide enormous quantities of natural gas and oil. They've been closed off for us to develop for 25 years, while the rest of the world, of course, we've relied on the rest of the world. And now the average working people of this country are paying the price. Enormous amounts of family money wasted, not wasted, it is wasted for energy when we don't have the supplies that we should have from our own natural resources. 8 million acres of the central Gulf Coast and Atlantic areas will be opened up by a bill in the U.S. Senate now. And all of you had better make sure to your congressmen and senators you want that bill passed immediately.
That's what
it could relieve quickly, or at least it'll be the quickest way to relieve some of our energy dependency on Middle Eastern countries that can cut us off tomorrow or cut the world off. And you'll be paying $6 a gallon for gasoline, real quick for your car to go to work.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yep. Hey, thanks for calling, Jack. Marcia in Daly City, you're on KGO.
Hi.
What's on your mind?
I'm concerned about the bad odor that I was aware of for a few hours in San Francisco today.
Where?
Well, I was in the neighborhoods of Hayes Valley, or the Haight area, and also Japantown. And it was a distinct smell of vomit in all of those neighborhoods, and I was kind of disturbed about it. And
let's do a little checking now before we really discourage people from going. That's a vast area there, and quite often your nose can deceive you a little bit. But do you mean you went over wide regions of the area and you smelled the same thing?
Yes.
I have to be a little skeptical at that. No, come on, I can see you experiencing that, say, in one particular area. But
that's why I'm concerned, because it was very odd. I was in one neighborhood, and then to pick up a friend. We were going to the movie, and it was at her house in her neighborhood. And
did she smell it?
Yes.
She did.
And then when we went to Japantown to see a movie, it was in that neighborhood too.
Where else did you go that you didn't smell it?
Pardon me?
Where else did you go that you did not smell it?
When I came back to Daly City.
Daly City.
Well,
all right. Well, look. I'll tell you what. I'm perfectly willing to believe that you have something. You experience something, as I said, in a local region, but over that entire vast area, I'm really surprised. But hey, I'm sure tens of thousands of others experience the same thing if it's there. Let's see if we can hear from a few who can elaborate on this a little, huh?
That would be great.
Okay, thanks, Marcia. Bye-bye. Thanks for calling KGO. KGO time now, 10:24. More than 18 years, I've told you about an amazing radio on this program supplied by the C. Crane Company in Fortuna, California. It's the CC Radio, now called the CC Radio Plus, and it still produces the same raves and reviews as it did before. Even Popular Science has called it the world's greatest AM tabletop radio. By tabletop, it means it's a portable that you can plug in at home, or you can take it anywhere else on 4 D-cell batteries. But this tabletop portable puts out well, it has more features and better performance than the biggest console radio you're going to find in someone's living room. And it's more than an AM radio. It has all the standard bands, FM, a weather band, TV audio, and the ability to run on batteries for over 250 hours. 5 memory buttons, a sleep timer, alarm clock, a weather alert that works as an all-hazards alarm, and many, many more features. And when you pick this radio up, you're going to discover another one. When you feel the weight of it, you'll know there's something special in it. It has a big speaker tuned to voices. If you love talk radio, or you know someone who does, you'll love the CC Radio Plus. It's priced at just $164.95, and that includes free ground shipping. And you can order it from the C. Crane Company by calling 800-522-8863. That number again for the CC Radio Plus, or for a free copy of their 93-page catalog, 800-522-8863. Or you can log on to see their hundreds of amazing products at ccradio.com. Frequent that people who, detect a curious smell in many different places really are carrying it around with them. It's in their car, or somehow or another got on their clothes, or some object that happens to be with them. So, I'm not being impolite, I hope, but you want to check that out. If we don't hear a lot of confirmation, something's wrong there. Alan Sebastopol, you're on KGO.
Yes, hello, Dr. Bill.
What's on your mind?
I don't understand a lot of this stuff on this greenhouse gases. To me, there should be lots of sources for methane and carbon dioxide. Like, do wetlands produce greenhouse gases?
Yes.
People just breathing produce greenhouse gases.
Yes, they do. But again, look, the stampede is focused on one thing, that human beings are producing more, excessive amounts of CO2 going into the atmosphere. That's got to be the biggest reason for Earth warming. So fine, let's go along with them. You remember the Y2K hysteria, don't you? The world's going to collapse for a year. Everybody believed it. Millionaires, about 1 million millionaires were created by stampeding the ignorant and the general public into that one. And to some degree, I'll bet this is what happens here. But nevertheless, the computer models and the climatologists, they're all convinced that CO2 produced by humans is the biggest contributing factor, when in fact the scientists have reported routinely in the scientific journals that nature is producing vast amounts of methane they didn't understand until recently. Methane is 10 times more effective as a greenhouse gas than CO2, or maybe it's even more than that. Water vapor in the air accounts for 999 out of 1,000 as a fraction of the total infrared absorption compared to CO2. But let's take the worst case. You believe the Al Gore cult theories and the earth warming hysterics? Believe it and act on it and say, well, then what's the source of CO2? Well, the source of CO2, the biggest source produced by man, is from the industrial side, power plants burning coal around the world, and factories and homes burning natural gas, and cars burning hydrocarbons, all right? Well, the biggest factor in the power plants is forced on us by the same cultists, the same alarmists, the same so-called climatologists in most cases. The eco-saviors, as they brand themselves, forced us to burn coal. They are the ones that produce the situation that they're blaming you for now, and pointing their finger at, and they're all running for cover to cover their dumb butts, you see. That's why we need nuclear power, and the top gurus admit that, and they're all pushing for it now, see?
Yes.
Well, there you are. But human beings produce an enormous amount of carbon dioxide, all living organisms, all mammals, all animals.
Yeah, well, if you're breathing in oxygen, then aren't you breathing out carbon dioxide?
Well, you're breathing out carbon dioxide, yes. But they don't want to talk about that. They only want to talk about, look, the standard target for the hysterics is always to go after the working man in his car. So they want to go after you. And it's sad that your own governor here, who I thought was going to be a sensible, tough guy, he falls for the same stuff, goes along with the eco-nuts. They think they consider themselves green walking on air now because they're going to put new regulations on your cars. At the same time, their official state agencies in California are promoting the building of more coal-fired plants in Utah, Wyoming, and Montana to feed energy to California, and those plants will produce hundreds of times more CO2 than any of their goody-goody plans to restrict the drivers of California. Does that fit? Take care, and thanks for calling.
Okay.
Here's Kelly Denson with a KGO News Update.
You, Dr. Bill. This is an update from the KGO radio newsroom. President Bush says the U.S. is pushing forward with efforts to build a sustainable peace in the Middle East. Bush said the U.S. is working with the UN Security Council on a resolution that will bring about a peace that will last. Meanwhile, world leaders have reacted strongly to Sunday's Israeli attack in Qana, Lebanon. More than 50 people were killed, most of them children. The UN Security Council has adopted a statement that expressed extreme shock and distress over the strike. The statement, however, did not call for an immediate truce. And Israel is denying reports that its forces have violated the terms of a 48-hour suspension of aerial bombardments in southern Lebanon. Lebanese security sources say the Israeli military carried out a number of airstrikes early Monday, including at least 2 that struck roads near the Lebanon-Syria border. Israel says the raids took place before the start of the temporary suspension and that its targets were in eastern Lebanon, an area not covered by the 48-hour agreement. Let's head outside now and take a look at the roadways. We do have a traffic collision in the North Bay. This is Arnold Drive at Railroad Avenue. A vehicle on its side partially blocking the roadway. Emergency crews responding there. In Concord, southbound 680 at Concord Avenue. Look out for 4 bags full of trash blocking an unknown lane. In the East Bay, westbound 4 at Pine Street, reports of a 3-car crash blocking the middle lane. And in the Santa Cruz Mountains, this is Highway 17 after Idlewild Drive. A life-size doll apparently blocking your left lane. Sleep Train's location in Pleasanton has moved and is now even bigger than before. The new store is at 6050 Johnson Drive next to Starbucks. Sleep Train is your ticket to a better night's sleep. Taking a look at KGO weather now for the San Francisco Bay Area. It is expected to be clear but becoming partly cloudy with low temperatures expected to range from the lower to upper 50s. Right now in San Francisco, 61 and partly cloudy. I'm Kelly Denson, KGO Radio News.
check the email. You should see what I get. Hundreds and hundreds of emails that just flow in. Here's one from Catfisher, though. Always sends a lot of cute stuff. Listen to this. You're driving in a car at a constant speed. On your left is a valley, and on your right side is a fire engine traveling at the same speed as you are. In front of you is a galloping pig, which is the same size as your car, and you can't overtake it. And behind you is a helicopter flying at ground level right at you. Both the giant pig and the helicopter are also traveling at the same speed as you are. What must you do to safely get out of this highly dangerous situation? Scroll way down. Answer. Get off the merry-go-round. You're drunk. That's so cute. All right, Todd in Pacifica, you're on the open line to the West Coast. KGO, San Francisco.
Hi, Dr. Bill. Maybe I need a CC Plus for my car, but I have a question. It's a radio question.
Okay.
I happen to notice that when I'm driving between in the city, I cross, if I'm coming down Highway 280 and I cross across Highway 101, going towards Cesar Chavez or Mariposa, my radio station will automatically change.
Really?
And it will not change to another station, but it's like it goes off a little bit, and I can hear KGO announcer, kind of make out that it's them still talking, but it's like the knob has changed just a little bit.
Okay, well, Todd, just a second. Todd, hold a second. Does this only last for a while, and you go back to the original station?
No, it stays like that, and what I have to do is I press the button for KGO, and it comes back in clear.
All right, I'll tell you what. Todd, hold it. We may have a quick answer for you. I happen to know that KGO's radio engineer, chief engineer Joe Talbot's in the studio down there right now near a microphone. And I have no idea what's going on, but I'll bet you, Joe, are you there?
I'm here, Dr. Bill. How are you?
Hey, can you help this guy out?
I think so. It's interesting because it was kind of presented to me as an RDS question, but I don't think that's really what's okay.
What does RDS mean?
RDS is radio data system, and it's used on FM. And
yes.
Yeah, a lot of like BMWs and cars from Europe tend to have that. And it actually has a mode where it will, it'll automatically switch to follow a format or to get public safety information.
I see.
Pretty much features we don't use here very much. But what he's talking about is kind of interesting because that is over by the KSFO transmitter site. So the radio may be getting overloaded, and that's kind of an odd one. There's something funny going on there.
Where is that transmitter site?
The same thing happens if I'm on 101 between 280 and Cesar Chavez. That parallel area right there, whether I'm on 101 or on 280, kind of going parallel towards Cesar Chavez both ways. And the thing happens even coming from the city.
Sure. You're about a mile, you're within a mile of the KSFO transmitter site, if not closer.
So he's under a very powerful signal that close.
Right.
And maybe our friends, maybe our opposition at KSFO are hijacking our listeners, huh?
They always accuse us of things like
that. Do
they?
All right.
Anyway, I show up here to do something, and you guys put me to work. I can't believe it.
Well, that's good.
It is.
Hey, I want to know more often when you're in the studio because
Great.
Between you and Jay and Shane, I have a wealth of information and a lot of questions in the radio side in particular I can't answer.
Oh well, heck, I enjoy it, so I look forward to it.
Well, next time you're back in the studio on my programs, go check in with Jay so we know you're there, would you?
I will. Thanks, sir.
And Todd, we didn't help you much, but at least you talked to one of the experts.
Very good. Hey,
good luck, Todd. Bye-bye. Is it Latita? Latita in Hayward? Letitia. I'm sorry. I didn't pronounce it properly. What's on your mind, Letitia?
Well, I was just wanted to get your opinion on hybrid cars. I travel a lot for work every day, and I've been seriously considering that, changing my car, but I wanted to get your opinion to see if it's worth it.
Well, the question of whether it's worth it, I think they're overcharging people a bit because they're in great demand. On the other hand, I've been a proponent for more than 15 years, as folks will tell you. I tried to tell the idiots that were trying to push so-called pure electric cars on us that the hybrid cars made a lot more sense, and we should have been developing them. But Letitia, if you're doing a lot of commuting, you don't have a big family to haul around, do you?
No.
Okay, you're doing a lot of commuting. I think it makes a lot of sense here in the Bay Area, in particular, or most any urban area, because that's where they really perform. You get better mileage in the stop-and-go environment of commuting than you get out on the open road if you're driving I-5, to Los Angeles. Still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. I think they're a good investment long-term. I really do, Letitia.
And another brief question. I drive a vehicle that requires premium gasoline. What do you think about that?
What is the vehicle you have?
It's a BMW.
It does not require it. It runs just fine on regular, and I've owned the most exotic ones you could imagine somewhere in one of my garages somewhere, and they've never seen a regular gas, and it's a fraud. Now, Letitia, if you want to run your Beamer on the Autobahn in Germany at 130 miles an hour, or 120, you might get 124 if you put premium gas in it, so-called premium, because it isn't premium. It's just simply higher octane means it burns more slowly. But premium gas is not Chevys Regal for your car. There's no more energy per gallon than regular.
Thank you. My husband has been telling me that for a long time now. I heard Dr. Bill Wattenburg that you're not supposed to use premium.
You can use premium, I'm saying, but it's like throwing 20, 30 cents a gallon away. And look, the government will tell you that. I've told people this for 20 years, and they called me liars until the government scientists all did the experiments that all the rest of us did, and they'll tell you this now. You can find it all over the place. Your Beamer automatically adjusts itself for the gasoline it's using, and unless you can hear constant pinging, hard metallic rapping, it doesn't know the difference. See? Now the Beamer, the fine Germans who built that Beamer and Mercedes and others, they want you to think you've got such a fine machine you can only feed it the finest gasoline in the world. You see, and of course Cadillac and all the rest of them did the same thing, but it's nonsense. It's a waste of money. You can't tell the difference. Letitia, go do the experiment. Hey,
I will.
Letitia, you asked me about hybrids. Well, they've really been hyped because most of them don't produce the performance a lot of people claim, but it's still good enough. It's worth it. But how many times in your life have you had a man promise you something?
Not many.
Not many? Oh, boy. Well, you sound like a smart lady because, when they give you all these promises, it's going to be something less, all right?
Yes, exactly.
Well, that's what life's really like. But, Letitia, stop burning premium in your Beamer, okay?
Okay, I will listen to my husband now. I know he listens to you for over 20 years, so he knows what he's talking about.
Well, I appreciate it a lot. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. KGO time now, 10:45. Hey, worrying a little bit about your investments is a pretty natural thing to do. You do it, I do it. How many can remember the dot-com bubble when we lost about half of our retirement savings? Well, hey, it's nice to have a guy around and somebody around who's an expert that can watch these for you. And there is a nice guy. His name is Pat Vitucci. Very competent. I did a seminar with him last month and met his staff, and he's got experts on every aspect of retirement, trusts, wills, investments, you name it. Well, Pat leads several AIG financial advisors' offices around the Bay Area, and he's a local guy. And he's an independent financial advisor. That means he's not obligated to steer your investments into any particular stock, fund, or area. He is fee-based, so he does not work on commissions, and he's not there to churn your investments over to make commissions. Pat has the same motivation you do. He wants your investments to grow. That's the only way his fees will grow. And Pat's a good guy to talk to. He'd be glad to provide a complimentary consultation for you, no obligation. And don't invest and forget is his mantra. He's written a book by that title, very interesting one as well. But you can call Pat Vitucci anytime for that free consultation at 1-800-472-8305. He's Pat Vitucci at 1-800-472-8305. News Talk radio station, KGO, 810 on the AM dial everywhere. And at this time of night, how many times have I told you? More than 100 million can tune in to 810 on the AM dial from Alaska to Mexico out to the Rocky Mountains. And your voice is just as loud and clear as if they were right here in the Bay Area. So come along. We have a few lines on the switchboard. I think I didn't even mention that tonight. It's been full most of the night. But finally, a few lines at 8080810. Now, for the rest of the show, I'm going to continue to remind you of what we have to do to stop these vulgar energy bills, from gasoline for your car to go to work to pay all the taxes of this country, to your home utility bills. And by the way, you have a big shock coming here on the West Coast when you get your bills for July in this heat wave. Many of you are going to see 2 and 3 times the size of bills that you normally have. And that's because, at least here in Northern California, or in California, in the areas for PG&E, Southern California, Edison, San Diego, you will have exceeded this baseline quantity that they allocate to you, which is laughable in some cases. And you only pay the normal 11.4 cents or thereabouts for the baseline quantity. The minute you go over that, it starts jumping dramatically. In fact, when you get up to twice the baseline, you're paying almost 3 times, over 30 cents a kilowatt hour. And keep in mind, nuclear power for the last decade or more, 100 plants in this nation have been producing power for less than 2 cents a kilowatt hour. Less than 2 cents a kilowatt hour. To build new plants, the total cost, a new plant, plus money put away to decommission it, plus storing the spent fuel rods, 2.8 cents per kilowatt hour. And you're being charged 4 times that amount now. When you see your bills, you will find you're being charged 12 times that amount. This is what your state bureaucrats have done to you. This is what the so-called energy experts have done to you. Remember deregulation? What that was all about was jacking the rates up to gouge you working people. You know, the state's paying on the average 7 cents per kilowatt hour now. That's what the power providers held out for. That was the whole blackmail routine that was carried out. Remember, the state was bankrupted, power shortages and blackouts. How come we don't have any blackouts now? You see, with these enormous power demands, hey, the power's out there at exorbitant prices. Yes, lots of people produce the power. Well, we'll talk about what you must do to demand the building of nuclear power plants immediately, unless you want to see doubling and tripling of your utility rates for your homes again over the next 5-6 years, because we're running out of natural gas. Or you want to see more coal plants built, which will put massive amounts of pollution in the atmosphere again. I'll tell you about the state of California idiots, the petty peacock bureaucrats who control your life, who have screwed you over with every one of their plans, from their specialized gasoline with MTBE poison in it, to the energy deregulation fraud. Do you remember that? And now all of their nice plans to keep you paying more than your families can afford. for just the energy for your homes, while you're going bankrupt trying to commute to work to make enough money to pay a big chunk of your family income in as taxes, to pay their salaries, their cushy $100,000 a year salaries, to sit on their fat, dumb butts in Sacramento. Robert and Campbell, you're on KGO.
Yeah, Bill?
What's on your mind, Robert?
Yeah, Bill, been listening to you for years, and it's great. Yeah, listen, about the smell?
Yes, what's your suggestion?
Okay, well, I was up in the city today in the Mission area, and I smelled the same thing.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I didn't freak out because I know what it is. It's years ago, I'd be walking around downtown San Jose, and it smelled like vomit. Exactly like vomit, okay? And
well, what is it? You got to...
Huh?
What is it? Come on.
It's from the trees. It's some kind of berry or whatever is falling off the trees.
Oh, really?
I know that in San Jose, walnut trees, when the walnuts, if you know what a walnut looks like.
Oh, I sure do. I used to have them in my backyard in Chico. Yeah. Yeah,
it's like a green thing and so forth. And when it falls on the sidewalk, and then you step on it.
Okay.
It smells exactly
so you're saying it's fruit or berries or tree products that are fermented in some way or another on the sidewalks, huh?
Absolutely. And,
well, let's see if that flies. And we get a lot of reports of that. I'll be convinced. Now I can see that in certain local areas, but gee, to have half the city with a noticeable smell of that sort, I'm surprised. But
I mean, there's a lot of people walking around out there, but I know for sure that when the walnuts would fall on the sidewalks, it would smell exactly like vomit.
Okay, well, let's see if that. We're waiting for those thousands who should have smelled the same thing. In the meantime, there's always that possibility. You only need to get something in the air duct of your car, as Jay Westerling points out, and you'll smell it everywhere you go, too. So, take care, and thanks for calling, Robert. KGO time now, 10:54. Say, here's an important announcement from a great place called Absolutely Fresh Flowers. I told you about them, or have told you about them for more than a dozen years. Well, get a pencil ready and stand by to write down a very special phone number after you hear the news. Absolutely Fresh Flowers is now being called Farm Fresh Flowers. And if you ever need the lasting gift of beautiful flowers, this is the company to call. Farm Fresh Flowers still offers the same great product, the same delivery and the same guarantee. Best of all, Farm Fresh Flowers is still owned by the same great people who specialize in delivering humongous amounts of fresh-cut flowers with every order. The perfect gift for anniversaries, birthdays, or just to say, I love you. These flowers are guaranteed to last at least 10 days after arrival. The package is shipped by FedEx overnight with care and handling instructions included for extra freshness. And the price, less than what you'd pay for a bouquet of roses in most florist shops. So get that pencil and call Farm Fresh Flowers. You can call them after 7 a.m. at 1-800-999-2109. Again, that's 1-800-999-2109. Or on the web, it's farmfreshflowers.com. And when you call or order, be sure to tell them Bill Wattenburg, KGO, sent you. You're on KGO San Francisco, the open line to the West Coast.
Hey, Dr. Bill.
What's on your mind?
I just want to tell you that of all the talk shows I've ever heard, you're the only one who's ever had a sound policy in the Middle East. I know that's not even your field.
It isn't.
Well, I know it's not your field, but it's interesting that you want to disengage from the place entirely, because it seems like it's the only policy that'll ever work. I mean, let's take back our advanced weaponry from Israel that we've given them. Let's let them all go to battle on their own.
And also, let's take back all the foreign aid where we feed the others who like to make bombs and send suicide bombers to kill men and women on buses.
I agree.
It'll go on. Look, what else is new? It's gone on for 50 years.
We just need to let them do their thing.
If we would look the other way, and this president has been pretty much doing that for the first time, you know how many times has every president of this country in the last 50 years been embarrassed and frustrated, thinking they've struck some new peace deal among these people who never want peace?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. Hey, I will tell you again today, you think this tragedy of Israel bombed a building, but, Hezbollah set them up, I'll bet you, when you see it, because they know what they're doing when they launch rockets with women and children all over the place. And this has been...
I'd say they set them up. I'd say they use them as shields so they can fire indiscriminately without any real retribution.
Yeah. And I'm surprised the Israelis were so stupid to fall for it. They got suckered right into doing what the other side wants, but it'll go on forever. But look, you know something I have to tell people today, even as tragic as that was, 100 times as many human beings starved to death in Central Africa.
Yeah.
Why in the hell aren't we paying attention to them and turning the TV cameras on them and doing something about that? They're human beings with the same feelings as anybody in the Middle East, in Lebanon, in Gaza, in Israel. They're human beings too.
I agree.
Why don't they turn the damn cameras off and walk away?
Yeah, it's getting to the point where this insanity seems...
Well, you ought to see how many hate me for that. There's no winning when if you don't kiss their butts on one side or the other, you're a bad guy.
Yeah, it's totally ridiculous.
It is. Hey, thanks for calling, Bill. Okay. All right, this is the end of the first hour of the open line to the West Coast. 2 more to go, and it gets hotter and heavier. Come along. This is KGO, San Francisco, San Jose, Oakland, at 810 on the AM dial everywhere.
From ABC News, I'm Brad Wheelis. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice says that she'll push for a ceasefire and a lasting settlement in the ongoing battle between Israel and Lebanon through a UN Security Council resolution this week.
We're working simultaneously on all 3 tracks so that a ceasefire can be supported by the deployment of an international stabilization force as soon as possible after Security Council action.
Israel halted bombing in southern Lebanon for 48 hours to give humanitarian workers a chance to deliver supplies and for residents to get out of the area. Israel hit a building Sunday, killing nearly 60 civilians, many of them children. The U.S.-led coalition is no longer in charge of security in southern Afghanistan. NATO forces took over operations Monday, one of the alliance's biggest ground operations in its history. Your grocery bill could be going up substantially. The heat wave now hitting the middle and eastern part of the country is drying up pastures. Now, that's causing the price of hay to skyrocket, and many cattle ranchers are selling their livestock because they can't afford to feed them.
The effect of shrinking the brood cow herd should provide tighter supplies of beef 2 and 3 years out.
Matt Brockman with the Texas and Southwest Cattle Raisers Association says that could mean the cost of beef would increase. As far as the heat wave is concerned, some teenage campers got sick while attending an outdoor ceremony in Maryland.
Some of the girls got faint, and they got red in the face, and of course that's because they had heat exhaustion.
Several people were hospitalized after succumbing to the heat at a Boy Scout jamboree in the state. North Dakota should get a break starting Monday. The forecast falls for mid to upper 80s. Sunday it was a record 112 degrees in Bismarck. Oklahoma City saw triple-digit temperatures for the 17th time this summer, and it's going to be a full week of 90-degree-plus temperatures in the Northeast. You're listening to ABC News.
Come into your local Goodyear retailer for the Goodyear MVP Tire Sale. Plus, get up to a $40 cash card with a purchase of 4 selected Goodyear tires. And ask how you can double your cash card value up to $80 on qualifying purchases. Our lineup is stacked from top to bottom with Goodyear's most valuable products, like the award-winning Assurance and Forterra tires featuring triple tread technology. Hurry, because both the Goodyear MVP Tire Sale and cash card offers end August 26th. Call 1-800-GOODYEAR for the complete details and the retailer near you. Certain restrictions apply.
My first love was a rusted-out 62 Chevy. 30 years later, cars still get my blood pumping.
Centrum Silver takes your passions to heart because Centrum Silver multivitamins are age-adjusted with high levels of B vitamins, nutrients which may help support heart health.
Now that makes my heart race.
Centrum Silver, adjusted for your age and your life. Take with low saturated fat, low cholesterol diet, not intended to treat, cure, or prevent disease.
Monday, several women will declare themselves Catholic priests in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area. The church does not allow women to be part of the priesthood, but Patricia Fresen doesn't care.
An unjust law must be changed, and if you can't change it any other way, you must break it.
Says it's her calling. In 2002, a sympathetic bishop ordained several women on the Danube River. All 7 were excommunicated by Cardinal Ratzinger, who's now Pope Benedict. It was the darkest day on the University of Texas campus in Austin. And now a bullet from the 1966 sniper attack has sold at auction. ABC's Chuck Sievertson reports.
A bullet taken from the ammo pouch of the University of Texas tower sniper Charles Whitman 40 years ago tomorrow fetched more than $250,000. The auction in Austin, Texas featured all sorts of Old West memorabilia, but the unfired bullet of Whitman's was bought by a New Yorker who collects assassination memorabilia. Whitman killed 15 and wounded 31 others from the UT tower before he was shot to death by 2 policemen. At the time, it was the largest mass murder in American history. A retired Austin cop, Gene Freudenberg, had the bullet in his desk drawer all these years. He intends to give some of the money to the Shriners Children's Hospital. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Actress Lindsay Lohan's mother is scolding a Hollywood studio executive for a letter he wrote to the 19-year-old actress after an absence from the set. Dinah Lohan told Access Hollywood the executive was way out of line for suggesting Lindsay didn't show up because she was out partying. This is ABC News.
They say the best things in life are free. So, hey, why are we paying so much for our basic information and entertainment needs? The average cable TV bill has more than doubled in the last 10 years. The price of movie tickets keeps going up. So, exactly what is free today anyway? Well, you're listening to it. Local radio. Support the advertisers that support this radio station. And keep listening. We won't send you a bill. There are still some things you just shouldn't have to pay for.
Brad Wheelis, ABC News.
KGO Radio News Time, 11:05. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Denson. Here's what's happening in the Bay Area and around the state. Oakland police are investigating the city's 81st homicide of the year. 3 murders were reported on Saturday. A shooting in Oakland this afternoon sent 2 young victims to Children's Hospital in Oakland with minor injuries. A shooting in Richmond on Saturday is under investigation. Police say a man and woman were injured near the city's Iron Triangle. Witnesses told police that the 2 were gunned down by someone in a passing white car around 11:30 in the evening while standing in front of a residence near Pennsylvania Avenue and Woods School Park. And a young man and woman died this afternoon after their car plunged into an irrigation canal in unincorporated Solano County around 3:30. Officer Winston with the California Highway Patrol.
2 parties located in the vehicle were Victor Lopez, 20, of Yuba City, and Martina Santiago, 26, of Yuba City.
The accident occurred on eastbound Seavers Road, east of Curry Road. Investigators are asking anyone who witnessed the crash to call the Solano CHP. Let's head outside now and take a look at the roadways. We do have an accident to report. This in Millbrae, southbound 101 at SFO, a vehicle versus a sign. The slow lane reportedly blocked. Emergency crews on the scene there. Summer event is back through July 31st. Get special lease and financing offers from Mercedes-Benz on select C, E, and M-Class models. Visit your Bay Area Mercedes-Benz dealer or BayAreaMercedes.com. Value unlike any other. Taking a look at KGO weather now for the San Francisco Bay Area for your evening. Partly cloudy with low temperatures expected to range from the lower to upper 50s. Right now in San Jose, 70 degrees, Concord 68, and in San Francisco, 60 and partly cloudy. I'm Kelly Denson, KGO Radio News.
for the second hour of the open line to the West Coast over the world's greatest news talk radio station, KGO, San Francisco 810-810 on the AM dial everywhere. And we continue with a few lines open on this switchboard for you. If you load them up, we'll have you on the show this hour. Your number, 8080810. Say, checking the emails, ask and ye shall receive. Number of people have pointed out that there is a tree that has a fruit that smells like vomit that can explain Marcia's observation that over vast regions in San Francisco she smelled an unpleasant smell that smelled like vomit. And many have pointed out that the ginkgo tree, I guess a Ginkgo tree, produces a fruit that smells like that. And so, hey, maybe that's the reason if there are ginkgo trees around over there. So maybe we're getting at the bottom of this mystery, but it's not the most exciting one. Anyway, Steve in Millbrae, you're on KGO. Hello, Steve in Millbrae.
What?
You're on KGO.
No, you can use my card. I'll give you...
Okay, well, that's enough. I mean, you're a little asleep at the switch there. Corey in Mendocino, you're on KGO.
Yes, Dr. Bill, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, my question, I'm inventing an independent power source.
Mm-hmm.
And is there a way to take 12 volts and increase it without running through an inverter?
Well, yeah, it's not easily done. You can do a number of tricks. What you see, inverter is just a name for anything that converts DC to AC, and a lot of people would, general term is converter. You convert from one waveform and voltage and current to another. But how high you want to go?
I'm actually figuring out how I could go from 12 volts to, say, 110.
Well, but that's the standard package you can buy most anywhere. And look, it's very cheap now. That is your inverter. That takes 12 volt, standard 12 volt from your car power, for instance, to 110, 120, 115, whatever you want to call it. They all mean the same thing.
Okay. My basic question is, I'm getting about 14.5 volts out of something, and it doesn't seem to run an inverter. I'm not sure if I don't... What do
you mean it doesn't seem to run? That most inverters could care less whether it was 12 volts or 14 volts.
Well, what it is...
Have you tried it?
What's that?
Have you tried a standard inverter on this to see what it...
Yes, I did, but it wouldn't power it up.
It wouldn't power it up?
No, it wouldn't.
Well, you better check... Look, do you understand internal impedance and current capacity and all these things? You might have something that produces 14 volts, but the minute you put a load on it, it drops to almost nothing. Okay?
Yeah, that could be where
Well, you better... Now, look, do you know how to use just a simple standard voltmeter? You can buy them for $6, on Radio Shack. Okay, put an electronic voltmeter with a very high internal impedance. They all have that now.
Yeah.
Put that on the output of your 14-volt supply, and when you hook it to the inverter, you'll see that voltage drop. Okay. That means you don't have much power capacity, much current capacity in your 14-volt source. Where's it coming from, by the way?
I don't really want to say that without giving it away, but...
Well, don't worry.
I'm just wondering.
Don't give away your invention, but so far it isn't working, so you got nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
The only other thing I could think of, now, couldn't you get more voltage out of coils of wire, per se?
What do you mean coils of wire? The only way you're going to get more voltage out of a coil of wire is that if you induce a voltage in the coil, and that'll be an alternating current voltage.
Okay, that's understandable.
Yeah, now look, I think you need to go study some very basic... the basics of electricity, okay?
Okay.
Because you're missing a couple really fundamental points here. Go get a beginning college or even high school physics book will give you a lot of this, but go get a little beginning book on basic electricity, okay?
Okay.
All right, take care.
Well, thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Doug in Union City, you're on KGO.
Yes, I have a 87... a Camaro IROC. It has a tune port injection.
Yeah, you've got yourself a hot rod with a foxtail on the antenna, and it's high compression, so you need higher octane in most cases. Okay. But how many other people do you think there are like you out on the road?
I don't know.
Hey, I've got a whole bunch of 454 Chevy hot rods. Okay.
Well,
I mean they're 10 to 12 compression ratios. They need higher octane gasoline. I got a couple aircraft engines, but that does not characterize the newer 1990 plus automobiles manufactured in the United States.
So do I need the high octane?
Well, when you put regular in it, does it ping?
I haven't tried that. I've always put the premium because that's what they told me.
But you see, that's like a lot of things. We always did it that way because our daddy told us, and it's foolish. You see, like the good old boys that said you had to have lead in your gasoline. If it isn't red, you're dead. And they didn't even know that was the villain that was messing up all their cars. See.
So do you think I could get away with regular?
Hey, very likely if it's an 87, yes. Go put some regular in it. You don't have to be at big risk. Do this. Next time it's almost empty. Okay. Put 5 gallons of regular in it.
Okay.
Now, if all of a sudden it really protests and it pings and all these bad things, you can still go fill the tank with higher octane, and it won't know the difference. Okay.
Okay.
Do that. And you'll get a real surprise. You'll find out you've been wasting a lot of money.
Okay.
Do you have your foot on the floorboard on that Camaro all the time?
Only when the NOS is gone.
Yeah, and you can't keep it there for more than 2 seconds before the back end slips out Monday, can you? Right? Well, that's the only time it'll ever know the difference between regular and premium, okay?
Okay.
Good luck.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Hey, Doug? Oh, we lost Doug. I was going to tell him my favorite analogy. Next time, Leon in Santa Rosa, you're on KGO, San Francisco.
Hey, Bill, how are you?
What's on your mind?
So many things are standardized on cars these days, except for where the gas tank is on the side of the car.
Tell me about it. It's one of the most aggravating things to me. I've got, gobs of different automobiles all over the place, and some of them it's on the driver's side, and some of them it's over on the passenger side, and I'm always having to turn around and go back to the pumps,
Same here.
Yep.
And, it's so much easier to drive up to the pump with a cap on the driver's side.
Yes, I don't know why the Europeans wanted it on the other side, you see?
Well, I hope you could figure that one out.
I can't. It's just, I could never figure out why, they drive on the left side in England and Australia, but, they can't figure out why we drive on the right side, see?
Well, it's nice to talk to you. Thanks
I think it must have something to do with they wanted it on the other side so the passenger or would have to get out and pump the gas, maybe, huh?
Maybe so.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, thanks, Leon. KGO time now, 11:15. Hey, about, 9 years ago, I had a place over in the Central Valley where it was hot in the summer, cold in the winter, and I made a very big investment in this older home. I replaced all the single-pane, noisy, drafty windows with some top-of-the-line dual-pane windows and doors, $7,800 investment. And then 3 years later, I discovered a company called newpane.com, spelled NEWPANE.com. Logged on to newpane.com, put in the specifications of the job I'd already had done. I got back a quote from newpane.com to install the same windows, $1,300 less. And a lot of folks have discovered the same thing. If you are being given a quote to do dual pane windows or doors, for gosh sakes, log on to newpane.com. Doesn't cost you anything. You never hear from them. And put in the specs of what you're being given and see what their price is. You're going to get a big surprise, and I'll bet you will be calling them. When you call newpane.com, they'll also send an expert to do precise measurements and schedule an installation generally within 28 days. And keep in mind, NewPane.com supplies all the top-of-the-line manufactured dual-pane windows and doors by the thousands to developers and contractors on a volume basis and volume discounts. And they can give you the same or better guarantees as anyone else. And they'll give you customer references from Sonoma to San Diego. Suggest you check them out before you sign up with them. Now you can't miss that. You can't afford not to check the prices. If you can't log on to newpane.com, you can call them. They have an office in the Woodland-Dixon area. 800-614-7263. And their friendly staff will help you whether it's one window or 100. 800-614-7263 for newpane.com. Back to the open line to the West Coast, the most listened to program and radio station. And you can dial in to the switchboard here. Lines open in all areas now, 800-80810. If you'd like, well, maybe 10,000 times more people than you'll ever meet in the rest of your life to hear what you have to say, here's the place to do it. If you're outside the immediate Bay Area, dial one of the Bay Area codes. 415-510-707-408 or 650. And then the 8080810. Yeah, I was just checking the email here, and frankly, it looks like all the media is being bombarded with very well-prepared picture stories of the Israeli bombing of a building in Lebanon. Nothing mentioned about the deaths on the Israeli side. Nothing mentioned about the women and children slaughtered with suicide bombers in buses and restaurants in the past. It goes on both sides. And there's no end to it. Jim in San Rafael, you're on KGO.
How are you doing?
What's on your mind, Jim?
Hey, I just wanted to say, first of all, I really agree with the idea of weaning ourselves of being codependent on the international conflicts.
We have to begin with developing our own resources. You've got 5-6 years of being blackmailed now. You know that? Now, one thing for sure, please remember, there is a bill in Congress right now, in the Senate and the House, to open up the continental shelf areas with massive resources that have been closed off for 25 years. The Central Gulf and the Atlantic, between 100 and 300 miles away from the coast. Okay.
Oh, well, that's fabulous. I was talking about agreeing with the idea of weaning ourselves of being codependent on international conflicts, like in the Middle East.
Oh yeah, well I agree with that too, as you know.
But I also wanted to say I had a question for you. I wanted to know if they could alter the orbit of Mars, say, with umpteen megaton nuclear blasts from to thrust jets.
No, look, I can tell you, I've done those calculations. I helped design this nation's nuclear weapon stockpile. I was in the business for many years, the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, and back in the mid-'60s to early '80s, in Dr. Edward Teller's group and team. And we had many calculations at that time, all the way from using nuclear weapons for construction work, which didn't turn out, to how can we use it to stop comets? I mean, an asteroid coming into the Earth doesn't make sense there. But the biggest weapon that we know how to design, you have to understand the massive forces of nature, or things like a planet orbiting the sun. For instance, the biggest weapon we can build doesn't compare to the energy in a hurricane. Just one little tiny hurricane. How many of those do we get every year, see? Or a big thunderstorm, okay? Now, when it comes to altering the orbit of Mars, the best analogy I can give you, I always use, can you imagine a little boy standing on a bridge over the Mississippi River tinkling in it? Mm-hmm. Can you imagine him turning the flow of the Mississippi River around? Huh? Well, that's the best comparison. I mean, this isn't even a flea bite on the back of an elephant.
So it's like thousands and thousands of years away or something.
Yeah. Well, you mean to be able to do that, it's like millions and millions of times more than what we have now, you see.
Could I have one more quick question?
Sure.
When they started damming the rivers and put one dam per river, say like a Glen Canyon Dam and stuff, why didn't they put like multiple dams, like one every few miles and stuff like that, and have, turbines at each one like that?
Well, yes, you could go farther down the Colorado and do it again, but there was enough disruption of the natural environment in the minds of many that they even want to knock Glen Canyon out.
Yeah, but I thought it would be better just to use one river.
But you have to be careful, because you must have massive capacity in a reservoir as well as a reasonable drop to get continuous large amounts of power.
Right.
If you have small reservoirs, you rapidly deplete the water in the reservoir, drop the water level, then the power output of your power plant varies all over the place and is very limited. See? Mm-hmm. Now go up the Feather River Canyon. Have you ever been up there?
Oh yeah.
Oroville up the Feather River Canyon is one of the most highly developed river systems, starting at Lake Almanor. PG&E has 6 different reservoirs and dams. And you can see small reservoirs as you're driving up, each one being fed by the one above it, you see.
Oh.
So the water's, they're getting the benefit of the drop down the canyon there about 4 or 5 times.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
it's been a while for me. I haven't been up there.
Yeah, but it's a very specialized kind of topography there that allows you to do that. So.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks very much. I really appreciate that.
Hey, appreciate you calling KGO,
yeah,
Jim.
Good night.
I want to hear from you again. Here's another Jim in Antioch. You're on KGO.
Yeah, Bill.
What's on your mind?
Well, recently I read an article in the Popular Science magazine that suggested making a plug-in out of your hybrid. Did you read that thing?
Yeah, it's one of the biggest sucker punches around, and it shows you how many in the media and the newspapers and the television stations and the radio stations are totally ignorant of just simple little arithmetic things.
Well, I heard one of the...
Yeah, let me finish the sentence, though. But putting an extra battery in your hybrid, they think it's free. You plug it in at night to charge that battery costs you far more than if you put the same amount of energy and gasoline in the hybrid and drove it down the road. And the poor fools don't realize they're just being sold the idea of electric cars again.
I realize how stupid it is. That's why I couldn't believe the article was published in the magazine.
Oh, yeah. Not published in magazines. They've had front page every major newspaper. The so-called environmental reporters are so basically ignorant these days, with rare exception. I'll tell you, there's only one I think didn't get hooked on this, and he's named Paul Rogers, San Jose Mercury News. That is a pretty savvy guy that usually checks what he writes. But look at what the rest had fed to you. Oh, this is a whiz-bang idea. There's a guy over in Marin County, got himself headlines in the TV shows and everything else, and he's laughing all the way to the bank. He's just laughing at these poor dumb suckers that don't realize how much the cost of the electricity required defeats the whole idea. And to generate that electricity, you burn more fossil fuel than if you put just plain gasoline in your hybrid and drove it down the road.
Well, that's what I thought about.
And yet they claim to get 100 miles a gallon.
Horse hockey, that won't work.
Yeah, it's like people claiming there's free money. You see, because they can rob a bank, and in this case, they're robbing the brains of the ignorant.
Yeah, I got a question on diesels too.
Sure.
My son drives a 2007 Kenworth with a twin turbo Caterpillar in it.
Yes.
And he said that they cannot burn biodiesel in it, that they'll avoid warranty.
Well, yes, because you've got to have special tuning and filters and stuff if you try to burn these exotic fuels. You see, again, it's another whiz-bang idea. Everybody thinks it's simple, but they've never done it. You got to go out and burn some of this stuff in a normal diesel and look at the smoke screen you leave going down the road.
Well, also you can't burn low sulfur fuel in it. In the new ones.
Well, there are a number of things, because these newer diesels have got anti-pollution equipment in them and electronic controls that are very sensitive. By the way, that's a beautiful engine he's talking about. I have one.
He said it pulls about 1,300 RPM to pull anything.
I have one of those.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one of those in the big rig.
So it's 70 feet long.
I dreamed all my life of having one of those, you know. For many years I had my favorite truck, a low bed pulling bulldozers around that I own. Had a big Cam 350 Cummins in it, and these guys in the big 450 Cat engines would roar by me, and I'd just drool. And I finally doggone, I'm going to get one.
Yeah,
so,
it is a 550.
Yeah, they go beyond that. Take care. KGO time now, 11:27. Hey, how many times have I told you what many people call the world's greatest AM tabletop radio? It's called the CC Radio Plus. This is a portable that plays at home on a power cord with more capability than the biggest console radio you'll find in someone's living room. It also plays as a portable anywhere else on 4 D-cell batteries. But the AM sensitivity is just amazing. It's called the most sensitive AM radio made. Popular Science called it that. And it has more than just AM capability. It's a full complement of FM reception, a weather band, TV audio, and the ability to run on batteries, as I said, in addition to the great AM reception. And when you pick up this portable and feel the weight of it, you'll notice something else special in it. It has a big speaker tuned to voices. If you love talk radio, or you know someone who does, you'll love this radio. The CC Radio Plus is priced at just $164.95, and that includes free ground shipping, and you can't buy a better radio for that money. You can give the C. Crane Company a call at 800-522-8863. That number again for the CC Radio Plus or for a free copy of their 93-page catalog, 800-522-8863. 8863. And you can look them up on the web to see their hundreds of amazing products at ccradio.com. Here's Kelly Denson with a KGO News Update.
Thank you, Dr. Bill. This is an update from the KGO Radio Newsroom. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice is heading home from the Middle East after managing to secure a temporary suspension of Israeli bombing raids into Lebanon. The agreement came on the heels of an Israeli airstrike on Sunday that killed more than 50 civilians in the Lebanese village of Qana.
I welcome Israel's decision to suspend aerial attacks for 48 hours as it investigates what happened at Qana. We also obtained agreement on a 24-hour period of safe passage to help innocent civilians who want to escape the violence.
Meanwhile, Israel is denying reports that its forces have violated the terms of the suspension. Lebanese security sources say the Israeli military carried out a number of airstrikes early Monday, including at least 2 that struck roads near the Lebanon-Syria border. And the UN Security Council will vote on a resolution demanding that Iran stop its nuclear operations by the end of August. Under the terms of the resolution, Iran would face sanctions if it doesn't comply. Let's head outside now and take a look at the roadways. We do have an accident in Emeryville. This is eastbound 80 at Powell Street. It's a 3 to 4 car crash. The 2 right lanes were blocked. And on the Benicia Bridge, northbound 680 at the Toll Plaza, reports of a vehicle on fire. It's not really clear if any lanes are blocked. Sleep Train's location in Pleasanton has moved and is now even bigger than before. The new store is at 6050 Johnson Drive next to Starbucks. Sleep Train is your ticket to a better night's sleep. Taking a look at KGO weather now for the San Francisco Bay Area. It'll be partly cloudy with low temperatures expected to range from the lower to upper 50s. Right now in San Francisco, it's 60 degrees and partly cloudy. I'm Kelly Denson, KGO Radio News.
Yes. That ought to snap your minds awake. We're back to the open line. It's here now. Hour and a half to go until 1 a.m. The midway point, but hey, it's going to get hotter and heavier as we go. Rick and Novato, you're on KGO. Well, we lost Rick. Okay, Julian in Mountain View, you're on KGO.
Yes, good evening, Dr. Bill.
What's on your mind?
I have this is an interesting thing. I have a sort of a solution to the Middle East problem.
Oh, boy. Okay, let's hear it.
Are you ready?
Yeah, no, I'm not ready. Let's hear it quick because I'm going to hear 3 on the other side of it. Go ahead. What is it?
Okay. And certainly it's completely hypothetical. But anyway, I would say that the U.S. of A would give the state of Nevada to Israel. It sounds funny. So
yeah, but how are you going to get them to agree?
Yeah, I don't think they would ever agree. But the thing is, we keep Vegas and we keep Reno because that's what makes most of the money out of Nevada. And then we give Israel the whole area of Nevada. And when they pull out, this way I know they won't have any beachfront property anymore, but they also won't have any people shooting bombs at them.
Well, why don't we give it to the Palestinians? Huh?
I don't.
What's different? What's different between the two? You know, they're both they both claim the other is evil over the land they occupy. You know.
But the way I look at it is they go there, and then when they leave Israel, they completely destroy all the improvements they've made over the years. So when they leave, there's nothing there but camel dung and sand.
That's
what they can give to those people who are you're just jealous. That's all.
Well, you're getting a little bit snide there now. All right, that's enough of that. Isn't going to go. Okay, KGO time now, 11:35. Here's some of the advice I heard from Pat Vitucci, I think, and a lot more, and I think you'll appreciate it too. If you'd like a no-cost consultation with Pat, you can call him at 1-800-472-8305. He's Pat Vitucci at 1-800-472-8305, a member of the SIPC. KGO San Francisco, 810-810 on the AM dial. You're the stars of this program when you pick up the telephone and dial the magic number 8080810. Your voice is beaming over the heads of folks in Alaska, down to Mexico, out to the Rocky Mountains, and all points even. In fact, I have a lot of friends that tune in over in Hawaii at this time of night. Get the signal once in a while. Say, here's a comment on the gas cap business. Why on the left side on some cars? Why on the passenger side on others? Stephen, down in Santa Clara, sends me an email here pointing out, he said one car salesman told him the reason the gas cap was on the passenger side is that if you run out of gas and you pull over to the side, then you'll be filling the car from the curb side, not from the traffic side, which is a lot safer. Yeah, maybe that's a decent rationale. Then why don't they put the gas cap on the other side on the left-hand drive cars that go to Australia? Yeah? Well, let's see here. Who's next up? Oh, Rick in Novato. You have another comment on the subject?
Good evening, Doctor. Always a pleasure to be able to talk to you.
Well, if I didn't have you, I wouldn't have a radio show now, would I?
This is true.
All right.
In all of the late model cars, when you look at your gas gauge, there is a picture of a gas pump with an arrow, and the arrow tells you on what side the filler cap is on.
Oh, really? I've noticed that.
Yes.
You know, one of my problems, I have some newer cars, and they're like newer cameras. There are so many damn features, you've got to be almost a computer expert to read all the instruction. I just refuse to do that. I want a car that's got a steering wheel, a gas pedal, and a door handle, okay?
It would sure make life a lot easier.
Wouldn't it? Yes, it
sure
does.
Would.
Yeah.
Also, well, if I can go on to one other topic.
Sure.
There was an article in our local newspaper about the fact that they're now putting monitoring stations along the West Coast to monitor the amount of pollution that China is putting in the air.
Yes, I've heard some of that, and it's not that difficult because taking air samples, we've been doing that for a variety of reasons for a long, long time, namely looking for the products of nuclear explosions. And part and parcel of that, when you look at particulate matter in the air, is you can actually measure the pollution coming over, and there is an enormous amount being blown over.
They're saying that it gets here within 5 days.
Yes.
And 2/3 of it is sulfur and soot and trace metals from all the burning of the coal that they're doing.
Yeah. Look, the biggest offender in terms of producing CO2 is China. They were almost totally dependent on coal. They have coal mines, abandoned coal mines that are on fire that are producing up to 3% of the total CO2 going in the atmosphere, and they won't stop these from burning. In some cases, they can't. It's just totally out of control. And yet, you know, the earth warmers and their Kyoto treaties, they only want to put regulations on the United States and industrialized countries. No regulations on China or the others. Now, does that make sense?
Not at all.
No, they want, but what they want is conferences and government money to continue to be the regulators of the world and the do-goody-goody guys, and we pay for all this crap. If there are going to be restrictions on the production of CO2 in the world, put it on everybody.
I fully agree.
They're sitting in Kyoto in Japan. It was, to me, the height of stupidity. And right across the ocean away, here's China, the biggest offender, and they're not even talking about a regulation against China.
Of course not. They want to make us look bad.
You can go back in the National Academy of Sciences. It was a late 1990 article, but you can look it up in their index. New York Academy of Sciences used to belong to it, published papers there. You'll find an excellent article, and it'll scare you, on the massive amount of pollution being created in China by these runaway burning coal mines. Now, we've had them in this country everywhere. People don't realize most coal mines will spontaneously combust and catch on fire. If you let air down the shafts after man has dug these holes, if they're not flooded, they're going to catch on fire, see?
And there's no real way to put them out either.
Well, unless you flood them.
Right.
And they won't pay the money to flood them. So, thanks for calling, Rick.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Hey, thank you. Jim and Martinez, you're on KGO San Francisco.
Yes, sir. I have what I think is a simple question.
Sure.
I'm in the pool business. I sell pumps.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 2-speed pumps since 1978 in a drought.
Yes.
And if you drop that from 3450 to 17 1/4, you drop your amperage draw from 9.25 to 1.1 amps.
Mm-hmm.
I'm beating my head against the wall now. PG&E's come out with this new high-tech thing that it's a AC conversion to DC and has its own sensors, so it'll regulate itself.
Yes.
Well, it's only $2,400.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm selling is less than $600 installed.
Oh, boy.
And am I just beating
wait
my
a minute. You say it costs $2,400, but you're only charging $600?
Well, I'm selling a 2-speed motor, not a 4-speed automatic brain.
Okay, sure. I understand. Well, yes, look, and you know, most people don't understand why the big drop in current draw for only half a drop. I mean, half by only cutting the RPMs in half. But they don't understand that the power required to pump at higher speeds doesn't go up linearly. It goes up beyond the square of the speed.
But actually pumps half the volume on low speed as it does on high speed.
Yes, but I'm telling you, to double the volume on most of these small pump motors takes a much bigger jump in power output. Okay?
I'm not arguing with that at all.
You're not changing. See, you're not changing the voltage on that. Most of them are 240 pumps, right?
Right.
Used to be called 210 or 220, but now they're called 240.
Well, they all measure around 250 nowadays.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's the high voltage that the utilities are selling you, which is wasting a lot of your energy.
You're the exact one that's got me checking them with new meter.
Well, look, I proved that. I mean, there's an official report now at the California Energy Commission. I had to fight them for a year to publish it. They wanted to squelch it, by the way. Of extensive data that was done at the PG&E San Ramon Technology Center by a group of engineers during the energy crisis, where we showed you're all being screwed because they're keeping the voltages too high, and your motors run inefficiently. Actually, the motor in that pool pump you'll find is most efficient at about 208, 210 volts. Not 240, not 220, about 210. And the same is true for all the air conditioners. There's a massive amount of energy being wasted in the country, but you know the nice thing for the utilities? By keeping the voltages higher, they spin your meter faster.
Yes, they get more money.
They get more money. That's good, clean profit. And boy, you should see how they fought me tooth and nail before the California Public Utilities Commission.
No, I follow you pretty closely. I've kept up with your.
They spent, by my estimate, well over $1.5 million in lawyer fees to defeat. What I proposed the it proposed to the California Public Utilities Commission, and the former governor, Gray Davis, asked for an order for them to drop these excessive voltages. And here they talk about blackouts, and they look you right in the face and say, all our motors will burn out if we drop the voltage. Well, they're burning out the motors by keeping the voltages too high. You know, the bunch of slobbering liars. And the appalling thing is the executives who are running your utilities don't know a damn thing about electrical engineering, how the power is generated, three-phase transmission lines, motor characteristics. Or anything. They're a bunch of bean counters. They are a bunch of manipulative bean counters have taken over your utilities. I face them all. I face them all the time. There's one high mucky muck vice president from PG&E. I faced him in the governor's office here last summer. Sitting right there is the same slobbering idiot he's always been. He pretends to be the expert on power grid reliability, and the guy can't pass a high school exam on the basics of electricity. You know.
The other part of that question is it feasible to run that on solar? I calculate 2,080 kilowatts a day for an 8-hour day.
Yeah, it is, but you got to have a 3-kilowatt solar panel, and it won't start that motor. Problem is, to start those motors, and you know they switch on and off all the time, you may need 2 to 3 times the current capacity of what it pulls steady state.
They have improved that in their design.
Yeah, they have, but it's still go put your standard little clamp-on ammeter on it and see the power, the current that it draws when it first clicks on. Okay.
Right.
And there's your problem. You can power that pool motor with about 3 kilowatts of solar energy, which will cost you $25,000, by the way. Doesn't make any sense at all. You can power that.
Better off putting a belt on a bike and spinning it yourself.
Well, you're not. Hey, I'm sorry, but you're a factor of 10 away from having enough power.
Well, I have to have 10 people do that.
You got a human being can put out at best about 1/4 horsepower, or a couple hundred watts continuously. Okay, pumping a bike or anything else. So, and people don't realize it. They think everything's free. You know, you got massive sources of energy, but. Hey, look, I'll give you a link very shortly where you can go read the official report of the tests and experiments I did. It'll be published by the California Energy Commission by requirement now, after them trying to hold it up. You can read the data. You can produce it in your own home, your own lab. Go home and test the voltage on your wall socket or anywhere else, and you'll find they're holding it above 120 volts, 125 in many cases, aren't they?
Right.
All your appliances are most efficient at around 110 or less. The rest of that voltage, they are screwing you by spinning your meters, and they're wasting up to 2% of the total energy. They pump down the...
When I talk to their engineer, I have to be politically correct.
You don't need to be politically correct. Just tell him the truth, and if he lies to you, tell him call me, okay? You're going to pull that crap on me now. Don't worry. I've been facing these guys for a long time.
I know, but
I know the holes they hide in when they're confronted with a question they can't answer. Okay.
I understand.
All right. Hey, thanks for calling.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye. KGO time now, 11:50. Okay, 8 minutes left here on the second hour of the open line to the West Coast. I'm going to take a little time to tell you what you must do. There's no question. Top authorities, environmental groups, the whole world agrees we must now have and use nuclear power, the only non-polluting source of power, if we want the massive increases we need to keep our economy going, as well as stop polluting the atmosphere, stop producing CO2, earth warming, what have you. They've all thrown in the towel. But still, no one's moving. Dr. Vic Reese from the U.S. Department of Energy last night on this program pointed out the big encumbrance is that American corporations, the utilities, the power companies, are reluctant to commit to building nuclear plants, which can be started tomorrow, because of the risk of lawsuits from the nuclear nuts who are still out there, your Sierra Clubs and environmental defense funds and Natural Resources Defense Council and your Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s, who, by the way, oppose windmills in their own backyard when they want you to use them everywhere else, because they're so pure they walk on water and poop jelly beans, I guess. You must demand, here in California, we're going to build more nuclear plants, but the only way it's going to be done is when we put it on as an initiative to wipe out the idiots and the laws they passed in California. Your own California Energy Commission brags they'll never allow a nuclear plant in California, but they're going to build more coal-burning plants elsewhere in somebody else's state and bring the energy in here. And the height of hypocrisy is one of the biggest power providers in the state, Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, completely independent of the PUC and the Energy Commission and the rest of them. Guess where they get most of their energy? They pull it out of Arizona, where over in Arizona they have nuclear plants, nuclear power plants, well-designed, well-built, supplying gobs of power to Los Angeles. They never had an energy crisis during the 2001 problem, remember? What sort of hypocrisy is all of this? You have these petty bureaucrat peacocks sitting in Sacramento, running your life, running it in the ground, blame you, the working people, with every one of their cockamamie ideas. You know, when you have the dull and the uncreative planning your life, you get idiotic things forced on you, and every one of their plans out of Sacramento is either poisoned or robbed you. You remember the specialized California reformulated gas with MTE poison in it for 15 or 12 years, $40 billion. You're still paying 20 cents a gallon more in California than most places and anywhere else because of these idiots and their concoctions, so they can claim that they're greenies. And what they are is just stupid. They're certifiable nincompoops. And they know they can call this station and prove otherwise. And I've told them that for the last 10 years and proven it. And now they have all their plans. You cannot build nuclear power plants in California, according to the California Energy Commission, big appointed commissioners, because they passed a law that said if there isn't a federal repository site like Yucca Mountain to store the spent fuel rods, then there can be no more nuclear plants in California. That was their gimmick. And then they turn around and join forces with the people who make sure there is no Yucca Mountain or no repository. And they claim their hands are clean and green, like the head California Energy Commission commissioner named Giesman, G-E-E-S-M-A-N, right here from the Bay Area, former Sierra Club high mucky muck appointed as a shill to the California Energy Commission. You can't remove him, he's not elected, and he makes a sucker out of the governor and the legislature. The only way to stop these guys is a simple initiative on the ballot in California. The only way you will stop paying exorbitantly increasing prices for your energy. Your home utility bills will be doubling in the next couple of years. The only way to stop that is an initiative on the ballot in California that says California will build nuclear power plants for new increases of energy required, or to replace any energy they are using that comes from coal-burning power plants that are so filthy they're causing the earth warming. Stick the facts and the truth in the faces of these horrible peacock hypocrites up in Sacramento, calling themselves your energy policy advisors and saviors. They are criminal hypocrites, and they laugh all the way to the bank, and they're on your payroll. Thousands of them. Same ones that have been there screwing you over for the last 10 years, and your legislature and your governor will not fire them. And they know they can come on this program and call me a liar if they can prove it at any time. And they run for cover. I know them by their names. I know who they are. I know where they hide. I know how they've screwed you over. The general public, you, the working people, you end up paying for everything. Look at their stupidity over the last 20 years in planning the energy supply for this nation. Look at what you're paying in gas pumps when we didn't develop our own resources. Look at what you're paying in your home utility bills now. 4 and 5 times the cost per kilowatt hour for electricity than if we were producing it from nuclear power plants. And by the way, we have 2 big ones in California that have been saving our bacon all this time. In fact, without them, the lights would all be out. And yet you have these hypocrites sitting in Sacramento saying nuclear power is horrible. Well, they power their own laptops with the electricity coming from Diablo Canyon. And 103 others in the United States that have been operating flawlessly for more than 40 years and have been renewed for another 20. What in the world is going on? If you want to stop this, you must demand that your legislators and the governor and your congressmen and U.S. senators get off their butts and order that more nuclear plants will be built if we want some independence and stop being blackmailed by the rest of the world. And you want to stop the excessive costs of energy that are going to be bankrupting your family in the next 3 to 5 years if we don't get working right now. There's my lecture. There's my proposal. We're going to spend a lot of time in the future on this. And if somebody can tell me what's wrong, they're invited to this program. Hey, all these experts, all these bureaucrats have special numbers to get into this station. How come you don't hear from them? Think about it. I'll be back for another full hour here on the open line to the West Coast. Your number, 8080810. There are lines open here on the switchboard in most areas. And we'll have you on the top of the show coming up here. This is KGO, San Francisco, San Jose, Oakland, at 810 on the AM dial, everywhere.
From ABC News, I'm Brad Wheelis. The United States is ready to call for a ceasefire in the Middle East. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice, who's in Israel, says a plan will be submitted to the UN Security Council this week.
Lebanon, Israel, and the international community agree that an international stabilization force should be deployed.
The international force would be part of a plan that calls for a ceasefire and a long-term settlement. Israel says the 48-hour cessation of airstrikes in southern Lebanon doesn't mean the fighting is over. Israel halted airstrikes after hitting a building full of civilians. More than 50 people were killed. ABC's Linda Alban is in northern Israel.
Israel announced there would be a 48-hour aerial ceasefire. They would stop bombarding southern Lebanon unless they saw missiles that were about to attack Israel, to allow for a humanitarian window and for southern Lebanese to evacuate.
Many people were afraid to leave because roads are being bombed at random. More than 112 square miles have gone up in flames in Nebraska. Folks in the Shadron area could have to evacuate. The wind is expected to shift and could send flames toward neighborhoods. Marguerite V. Miller says the fire stopped just short of the college.
It came right up to the college, so it burned down right to actually the football field.
3 homes were destroyed, at least 3 damaged in Nebraska. A dozen people attending a Boy Scout jamboree in Maryland were sent to the hospital suffering from heat-related illnesses. Fargo, North Dakota set a new record of 100 degrees yesterday. Meteorologist Rob Cook says Minneapolis could reach the triple digits today.
Usually we do say, just think back to the times when it's 30 degrees below zero, and most people are fine with it. They know that this can't last forever, so, they take the good with the bad and they'll move on.
The heat wave is also causing problems with farmers, ruining crops that could mean your grocery bill will be going up in the near future. ABC Money Scope in Tokyo, the Nikkei closed up 114 points. You're listening to ABC News.
Imagine living truly debt-free. No credit card debt, no car payments, no mortgage. You can do this with just the money you already make and actually improve your credit score. I'm John Commuta, creator of the Transforming Debt into Wealth program. I did it, and so have more than 1 million others using my proven system.
I'm completely debt-free now, thanks to John Commuta.
I will be able to pay off my house in approximately 2.5 years on a 30-year mortgage.
It works no matter how much debt you have or how much money you make. My system doesn't consolidate your debt, it eliminates it, so you can permanently insulate your credit status. Let me send you a free tape showing you the power of my proven system.
And once we got on the system, we were able to eliminate about 90% of our debt.
Call now, and I'll rush you my free tape. Call 1-800-933-0939. 1-800-933-0939. That's 1-800-933-0939.
A doctor who oversaw dozens of executions in Missouri has a history of making medical mistakes and has been sued for malpractice many times. 62-year-old Alan Dorhoff has been banned from at least 2 Missouri hospitals. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports that lawyers reviewing the execution of Michael Taylor found he had only been given half the amount of anesthesia required by law. The doctor admitted he was dyslexic, sometimes transposing numbers. A judge suspended executions in the state as a result. Once again, Mel Gibson is being accused of being an anti-Semite. A sheriff's watchdog group is investigating whether L.A. County tried to cover up comments Gibson made to deputies when he was pulled over for drunk driving Friday. Media reports allege Gibson said Jews were responsible for all the wars in the world. Gibson was accused of being an anti-Semite when he produced The Passion of the Christ. He spoke to ABC's Primetime back in 2004.
My detractors play hard. They say I'm a bigot. I'm anti-Semite. And then, what really makes me crazy is they say he's an anti-Semite for like a year. And then they said, we never said that. But that's all I've been reading.
Gibson issued an apology over the weekend for the Friday incident, but made no specific mention of what he said. A large fire on the set of the latest James Bond movie, Casino Royale. Filming had already been completed at the Pinewood Shepperton studio in England. No word on the cause of the fire. Nobody was injured. This is ABC News.
Hey, I'm Andy Griggs, asking you to help prevent domestic violence. Domestic violence isn't a woman's issue. It hurts all of us. Women are injured and killed every day by their husbands and boyfriends. So it's time for men to take action right now to teach boys that violence against women is wrong, to help prevent abuse before it starts. Call the Family Violence Prevention Fund at 1-800-END-ABUSE to get a free Take Action kit containing tips on what to say to boys. That's 1-800-END-ABUSE. Teach early.
Brad Wheelis, ABC News.
KGO Radio News Time, 12:05. Good morning. I'm Kim McAllister. Here's the latest now in the Bay Area and the state. The San Francisco Marathon, held yesterday, saw its first fatality in the event's 29-year history. Authorities say 43-year-old William Goggins of San Francisco collapsed from apparent heart failure as he approached the 23-mile marker of the 26.2-mile race. Goggins was one of nearly 15,000 runners who ran to raise money for cancer research. Search continues for a missing man in the San Francisco Bay. The U.S. Coast Guard and the CHP looking for a 21-year-old man reportedly hit by a jet ski near the Benicia Marina. It happened just after 7 o'clock last night. Right now, a CHP helicopter and a Coast Guard boat continue combing the area between the Benicia Marina and the Carquinez Bridge. On the roadways right now, we do have reports of a crash. East 380 at northbound 101, the CHP responding there. And East 80 at Powell Street in the Emeryville area, another accident reported. KGO Traffic brought to you by California Community Colleges. Financial aid is available year-round at California Community Colleges. Visit ICanAffordCollege.com. That's ICanAffordCollege.com or call 800-987-ICAN to see if they can help. The KGO weather forecast, it looks mostly clear skies during the overnight hours. Mostly sunshine for your Monday with highs expected in the 60s and 70s coastside, the 80s and low 90s in the warmest inland areas. Right now, San Francisco at 56 degrees. Kim McAllister, KGO Radio News.
KGO News Talk 810.
Here we go with a new broadcast day over station KGO San Francisco on this new day, the 31st day of July, the year 2006. This is the third and final hour of the open line to the West Coast. I'm Bill Wattenburg, your host, and you're the stars of this program. I'll need another 20 or more of you here now. And as always, this is a very appropriate time and place to tell our servicemen overseas if you have any appreciation for what they're doing and what they're up against. They don't hear much of it from the rest of the media, I can assure you. Take a look at what you hear on late-night talk radio or your television networks. constant barrage of everything is wrong with America, and no appreciation for them, implication in many cases that they're evil in what they're doing. And I have a real appropriate word for that, but not allowed anymore. Why don't you just give them a little praise? And before this night is over, we'll play a couple of things that they very much appreciate hearing. Tens of thousands of them do hear you over this program. It's daytime in Iraq and Afghanistan. They pick it up on the Internet and rebroadcast it. And they're delighted to hear something other than what the terrorists enjoy seeing on CNN. Where do we go here? Roger, Santa Cruz. You're on KGO, San Francisco.
Yes, Dr. Bill.
What's on your mind?
Yes, we have cell phone towers in our area, and I enjoy using my cell phone, and I don't think there's any problem with any transmission from cell towers. And we have some people that claim, there's radiation and it's dangerous and everything like that. What's your expert opinion on all that?
Well, it's like a lot of the hysteria floating around. There's no evidence that the power transmitted from cell phone towers, which is no different than the power transmitted from this radio station or others or any FM. In fact, most FM stations in their region are putting out signals many, many times more powerful than the cell phone frequencies. But you've got the cell phone freaks out there, and they started out with everyone who used a cell phone was going to get brain cancer a few years ago. No evidence of that whatsoever. When you monitor the morbidity and mortality, that means the disease rate and the death rate and the causes among populations that have never seen a cell phone versus our population in urban areas where everyone has one, you can't see any big difference. They'll claim, there's some indication there might be some problem here. But those are the ones trying to whip up free government money to go study something endlessly for which there was no evidence to begin with, okay?
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you. There are 1,000 dangers in life that are far more important than that concern. But, hey, when it comes to somebody putting up a cell tower, it's just a cause celeb for some local group. Same thing about power plants. They want to use the energy, but they don't want the plant in their backyard. On down the line. Okay. Take a look at watch these protesters. I've seen some of these arguments. And notice how many of them use their cell phone the minute they walk out of the meeting in which they protested the cell phone tower, huh?
Yeah. Okay. Hey, thanks a lot, Dr. Bill.
Take care.
Okay.
Now, I want to continue one or two other things every program now, because energy is the biggest gouge for all of you working families. And you're the ones that get punished in every way for the stupidity of your government leaders and politicians and bureaucrats in particular, particularly those in Sacramento. But there's another scheme that they've pushed through the California Public Utilities Commission, and even the heads of your utilities, these ignorant Bing counters that don't know a damn thing about technology, generating power or electricity.